This is Angelus, your business mindset coach, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about how to increase morale with your staff, your crew, your laborers. It's kind of funny. I was just talking to my neighbor. He's right nearby. You can't kind of see him from here, but he owns a business, small business, but and a couple of workers that are helping him, and they build. I want to make sure I get it right. Uh, like playgrounds for children, playground equipment, uh, those soft surfaces you've sometimes gone to with some schools or some places with daycare where the kids are playing and everything is soft on the ground, the foam or whatever they use. Really interesting watching him and his crew work. And I was talking to the owner, his name is Nick. He said to me, "Oh, I hear that you're a business coach." I go, "Yeah." And I said, "What else do you do specifically?" That's the exact words. And I'm like, "What else do I do?" "Well, I also train business owners how to have the ideal crew, develop and support their operations, their sales, their administrative departments, and big corporations or small." And so I said, "Well, that's kind of perfect. I have one question for you." He's like trying to get a freebie from me. He goes, "How do you raise the morale amongst your staff and your crew?" And I said, "That's funny you said that, because I had the same question asked me from another client just 2 days earlier. So the synchronicity of it, was like perfect." So I said, "Well, if I'm going to give you a one-on-one on that, I would have to then make it as simple as possible." So I always say to business owners or people, managers who have a staff, that if they stick to the A.B.C's of management, I've called that. That's how I've invented the formula to help business owners and managers. The A.B.C's of managers or A.B.C. of leadership is all they really need. If they can remember that and keep that formula and work that formula all the time, you will have no issues, no problems with morale, miscommunication. What do you have, like the office gossip and drama, politics? It will disappear. And what does ABC of management or leadership mean? It's the acronym for accountability, business model and business knowledge, and communication. Now, I'm going to give you briefly describe each one so you understand. And if you do practice this, if you master this as an owner or a manager, doesn't matter if you're working in a large corporation and you're just doing a small department, or you're working for your own business or you own your own business and you have staff, this works across the board. So the first thing I want everybody to know is what I told Nick was accountability. Who's accountable for what? So, excuse me, there's about, I would say, if you have, let's say you're mid-management, so you have your boss above or the owner of the business or the director or whatever, and you have your own staff. So as a mid-manager or director, you basically have accountability for three areas. You're accountable to yourself first. You're accountable to your staff, and you're accountable to your the upper echelons. If you're the owner of a business, then you're accountable to yourself and your subordinates. Sounds simple, right? So then also, from the point of the staff, from the point of the laborers or crew, they're accountable to themselves. They're accountable to the upper ups, which is the media supervisor and or manager or director. And they're accountable to the customers, to the vendors that they have to deal with on a regular basis. Now, technically speaking, the manager and leader is also accountable for the customers and the vendors and all that, but their immediate focus should be first them, then the sides. And if you're the top, it's the bottom, your managers, your supervisors, your employees, your staff. That's all you have to be accountable to. Now, what I mean by accountability, I mean globally. So in other words, you have to have, you heard the expression open door policy. Some managers, some leaders have that, and that's a pretty good idea. So you are open to suggestions from your underlings. You're open to any possible ideas that they may have, so that'll help the company overall. You should add to that, if you have an open door policy, that you should give them permission. You have to actually give them permission. This helps raise morale. They feel important. You have to give them permission to have you be accountable. Not just you be accountable to your own actions, but actually have them watching your back. And when you start to slip, you got to tell them when to watch. You got to give them directions. You got to tell them exactly, this is my fine line. If you see me cross my own line, stop me, remind me. That alone will create a better morale. That alone will create better bonding, because now you're giving them not only permission to watch the top dog, but you feel you gave them the sense that they have a more important job. Okay, so now that's just accountability across the board. That goes for everyone. Now, very important, when you're communicating to your staff, crew, laborers, you also want to empower them by being accountable to themselves, as I said earlier, but you show them what that means. It means they have to draw a line for themselves. They have to set goals for themselves. They have to set parameters for themselves. And every one of their so-called colleagues, co-workers, should be watching each other to make sure that, again, like they're watching you, the big guy, the owner or the manager, not cross your own lines. They have to watch each other, or what I call police each other, to make sure they stay in line. So this is an extreme cool technique, because there are advantages of so many levels. Let me just name one. If they're policing themselves, there's less of a chance of a disgruntled worker. There's lesser of a chance of somebody not pulling their weight and the others compensating for that. And you know how that creates frustration, anger, bitterness amongst co-workers. But if they're all supporting each other, they're also watching each other's back. And in the end conclusion, they feel supported. They feel they're part of a bigger, more important thing than just themselves. They feel part of the so-called family, and they feel secure knowing that if they should start to fall, somebody will help them, not judge them, not put them down, not scold them or report them, but somebody be there to pick them up and help them. Very important. Have them be accountable to themselves. Now that's just with accountability. So I told Nick was already taking notes. And I said, okay, we have the business structure. Get to the business structure. Now, if you own the business, or maybe you're just a manager, supervisor of the business, you think you know the business. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I know a lot of business owners that actually forgot about their own business model that they brought up, they created, that they opened up. But it doesn't matter so much that you need to remind yourself what the business model is. It's very important that you teach your subordinates, your crew, your employees, constantly remind them what the business is all about. The problem that a lot of business owners have, and it drives me a little crazy at times, I get very frustrated, is that they give me this, well, they can read my mind kind of attitude. Right? They should know better. This is common sense. They should know what I meant. No. If you're a manager, supervisor, or you own a business, do not fall into that trap. Do not assume that your common sense is equal to your subordinate's common sense, and do not assume that they can read your thoughts. They can't. I'm sorry to tell you, I know, raining on your parade, but they cannot read your thoughts. So now you have to communicate. Oh, getting ahead, still in the business. So once you understand that you need to constantly tell them about the business to remind them. It also creates more rapport and brings up morale. Now, to give you an example, what I mean by business model. I had one client that was a dog trainer. Okay, they trained all types of dogs. At least I remember reading that on one of their websites and social media sites. He was very good dog trainer. He trained his crew to be good dog trainers and walkers and all that. And then one day, and my job was to come in and fix the problem. It wasn't really one day. It was one day decided he needed help, but it went over a long period of time. His crew were getting upset. They were not cooperating. They were fighting amongst themselves. They were fighting with him, and he didn't understand why. And when I got there, I found out the crew was under the illusion that they only trained one type of dog. See, what happened was, for a while, they were training puppies or young dogs, but technically, he trains rescue dogs, dogs that have just been given, families have given up on them, and they're going to be put down unless they can be trained. They're kind of vicious dogs. So they train every type of dog. But because the crew, who was relatively new, only dealt with young and puppies for the longest time before they finally got that, you know, endangered species kind of dog in, the mean dog, the nasty dog in. They didn't want to deal with the priorities. They didn't want to deal with the duty functions dealing with training that particular dog. So I had to tell the owner, you have to educate them about the business model. They have forgotten because they got into the illusion that you only deal with puppies and young dogs. So you got to remind them that you deal with all dogs, especially dogs that have to be saved, dogs that are ready to be euthanized. You can deal with all dogs. When they realized that, when he went and told them that is part of their job duties, their function, even though it might have been written down or not written down, it's irrelevant. The staff didn't know the business model, didn't read his thoughts. So he went, told them, this is what we do. This is our job. So then this gave the opportunity also for the crew. Some, one didn't want to get to that level, didn't want to train those kind of dogs. So that individual only went so far in the business, in the company. So they will not get, opportunities to go forwards. They'll just stay where they are. The other, they decided, hey, this is an opportunity for me to grow. I'm not comfortable with these kind of dogs, but I'm going to learn how to deal with these and train these kind of dogs. And they went up the ladder. Some of them got promoted. Some of them got extra bonuses at the end of the year and more vacation. So it created a more bond and more loyalty with the workers. Now they knew their place. They knew, this is all I can do and I'm not going to do anymore. And this is, now I have an opportunity to shine and for the owner of the business and get through the next glass ceiling that they thought for some reason they couldn't get through. And that was the reason. They had a choice now. So these are just simple ways, just by accountability and knowing the business model for your crew. Last, communication might be last, but it's the most important one. I see this abused so often, but it's unconscious. Let's deal with the same thing. Let's go back. Communication is very similar to accountability. Just take accountability. Everything I just said for accountability a few minutes ago, and put communication there. Who and where do we communicate to? I'll do it again. Your mid-range manager, company, or your owner of the company, do the same thing. Mid-range, you communicate to your prop, your immediate boss, your supervisor, whoever it is, and then to the underlings, the crew, laborers, the staff, the employees. Yes, you do have to communicate to vendors and the customer, but that is your immediate communication funnel. Owner, top dog, communicates to the manager, supervisor below them, and or the staff. And the staff, of course, they communicate to themselves, to the upper ups, and to the customers and or vendors. If you keep that as a standard, if you have that in writing in your process and procedure manual, in your employee manual, if you make it clear, you remind them, like I said earlier, remind them this is their job. It'll go like clockwork. People won't have this intimidation of coming to the owner if they have a problem, to the upper manager. Even if they have an open door policy, many employees are afraid to take that offer, that opportunity. So with communication, and one last thing, when it comes to communication, when I mean communication, I mean it's a two-way street. I don't mean education. The difference is when you're educating somebody, you're not concerned about if they got it or not. You're just giving the information and hope for the best, like some of our business owners and managers who thought, the crew can read your thoughts. No, that's education. That's not communication. Communication, a good teacher, the best teachers, they're not just educators, they're communicators. Excuse me for the truck behind and all the noise, but it's taking my daily walk, so forgive me. So the good teacher will communicate, or first educate. This is the lesson, and then communicate. Did anybody not get the lesson? Does anybody have any questions? Does this make sense? Do you need more help? There's a big difference in communication than just explaining something to someone. So don't, as a business owner or a manager, just explain and walk away and assume. Make sure that your crew understands every detail of their duties. When you're hiring them new, they understand every detail of their job description. If they have any question, you make sure you answer it. And then you don't have to worry about, disgruntled employees, frustrated employees, people not taking you up on the offer of open door policy. You're not worrying about, the drama that usually happens with employees and that turn into, fights, bickers, dysfunctional operations. Morale will always be up. People will always be communicating to each other. And because you have installed in your business, whatever it is, the ABCs of management or the ABCs of leadership. So if you have any questions about more the details of each one, I've only given you like a one-on-one, or the video will go on for hours. I have courses on explaining in more details each one of the A, the B, and the C. Just after this video, send me a written description of your issues or your questions in the field, and I will get back to you as soon as I can with the best answer I can. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of this video. And it's a beautiful day. I don't know where you are, but if the day is as beautiful where you are as it is right now for me, go out, enjoy it like I just did, and I will see you soon. Thank you, and have a great day.